How much money do you think you'll make this year?
I'm on track to around 500 to 600,000.
As a 22-year-old kid, do you have a college degree?
No.
You have a real estate license?
No.
You learn what the framework is, but then you actually learn how to do the business on the job.
Right.
And you learn a lot of the business by watching other people do the business. And that's really where you get all the traction, is being proximity of other people that are doing the business. In today's video, we're gonna answer the question of who's got the keys to the Jeep? Vroom. We've got Kevin Choe on my right, your left, and we've got Jake Villaret on my left, your right. We're gonna be talking about Gator deals. How can I get started in real estate without any money, without any credit, without any experience? We're gonna talk about how a 22-year-old kid who didn't even understand my Missy Misdemeanor Elliott reference is gonna make $600,000 this year by doing Subto assignments with deals with no equity. Yeah. Welcome to the show, bro.
Thank you.
Welcome to the show.
What's up, Pace? How are you?
Now, you guys just came across the United States in an Escalade, 2,500 miles from North Carolina to Phoenix, Arizona. What the hell would compel you to do that?
It was fun. I mean, getting to meet all these people that I wouldn't otherwise meet unless it was at a mastermind.
So you just woke up one day, like, I'm gonna drive an Escalade across the country because I want to meet a bunch of people? Like, what the hell? Give me the backstory, guys.
Well, so there's a guy named Grant Upchurch, and he bought an Escalade, but he bought it less than like a year ago, and then his wife bought a new car, so he didn't have a need for the Escalade. But if he were to sell that car on the market, he would be in a position where he would have to cut a check. So he ran into you, and he said you take over cars and houses with no equity, and he reached out to you. And
That's not a thing. That's not real. People don't really buy things with no equity and get them for free, basically.
yeah, you literally just took over the payment, no money down.
Okay, cool. So for those of you guys that are just catching up to speed, Kevin and Jake just drove across the country in an Escalade that I bought with no money down. There's a gentleman named Grant Upchurch. He buys this Escalade 2022, pays 30 grand over retail because that's what was going on the last couple of years, puts $30,000 down, and his wife says, I don't like this. I want the Denali, not the Escalade. So he goes to try and sell the Escalade, and he's gonna have to write a check out of his pocket to sell it to a private party and have to write a bigger check out of his pocket if he sold it to a dealership. So he DMs me. He knows me as a guy who buys and sells things using no cash, no credit, creative finance type of stuff. And he says, Pace, do you have the paperwork for me to be able to sell my Escalade to somebody via Subject to? I said, yes, but why are you not selling that Escalade to me? And he goes, you would buy? I go, yeah. Just so happens I'll be there in 3 weeks speaking at a pad split event. So I tricked Kevin Choe into flying out to North Carolina. And our second day on the trip, I go, man, why don't you just drive this Escalade back to Phoenix, Arizona?
From North Carolina.
From North Carolina. And you go, no, that's not a good idea. I go, but what if you went to every Waffle House on the way? What if you did meetups on the way? And as a good salesman does, I convinced my prospect to buy into the idea of driving across the country.
Yeah.
So you guys just drove 2,500 miles together. Did you guys have a good time?
Great time.
Did you guys talk about business?
A little bit.
The whole time.
Yeah.
I mean,
How was it a
the
little
Gator
bit and then almost the whole time? Well, you were doing deals in the back seat.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we were both working the whole time. Luckily, we had John meet us in Nashville, and he drove the rest of the way pretty much.
Amazing. So you guys went around. Well, let's go through the cities. And what I want to talk about today is I want to talk about what you guys are both doing in your respective businesses. How can people do deals with you, et cetera. So guys, I know it took me a while to warm up, but we'll get there. I promise you'll want to stay tuned for this entire show, okay? You'll wonder why this kid that doesn't even understand quality music is making so much freaking money, okay? So you guys go across the country. First stop, Asheville. Next stop,
Nashville.
Next stop, Memphis. Next stop,
Little Rock,
Arkansas. Next stop,
Tulsa.
You have properties there, so you stopped by, visited some Subto properties you own.
The Subto we stopped at was in Oklahoma City.
Oklahoma City, great.
I have 4 in Tulsa as well.
Perfect. Then next stop,
Oklahoma City,
okay. Next stop,
Amarillo, Texas.
Next stop, Albuquerque. Next stop, Phoenix, Arizona. You guys get to Phoenix, Arizona. We were supposed to film a podcast there. I'm in Boise. I go, guys, I'll just fly you up here. Let's hang out for the next couple of days. We had a blast.
Yeah.
Okay, so you guys come up here. You ultimately come to Idaho. I told you can't hang out in Idaho unless you're Mormon, and so we filmed some Mormon content
Yes.
yesterday. Was that not so funny?
That was pretty funny.
Has your face recovered from all the laughing that we did yesterday?
No, not yet.
You were doing this the whole time. We were filming. You were like, this, oh my gosh, I'm laughing so hard. So, guys, I've had a lot of fun with these two boys, and it's because we're doing deals together. We're making money together. So, Kevin, let's talk about your business for a little bit. How are you making money right now?
So I have a couple of guys on my team, and we strictly go after the homes that are that have no equity. And the way we find them is we go through software called PropStream, and all we do is just compare the house, what the house is listed for, and the mortgage balance. And if we find out there's house has 10% or less on the equity, we just give them a call.
How did you learn how to do this? Did you learn this in high school or something?
No, I learned it from you.
Amazing. So you started, you joined our community, started learning, you started taking action, you had a couple of guys join your team. What are those couple of guys doing for you every day that brings in deals for you?
Majority of them is cold calling and texting, because that's our main way of reaching out, and it's the cheapest way and it's the most effective.
Okay, so you are pulling a list from PropStream, like you said. Yeah. These two guys are both texting and calling sellers and reaching out to sellers and saying, what?
Hey, I noticed that your house is on the market, and this is good. This goes to the listing agents too. We go after the listing agents, and if it's expired, we go directly to the seller, and we say, hey, I know that your house is listed for, let's just say, $300,000, and you just purchased it a year ago, and you happen to owe $280. I know you're in a position where you have to sell the house at the $300,000 mark, or else you're gonna cut a check. So how about we give you money instead of you cutting a check, and we just come in and take over your existing payment? And sometimes they say yes, sometimes they say no.
Amazing. Just like anything in life, I guess. Yeah. Right? Whether you're an insurance salesperson, a car salesman, or even asking a girl on a date, you're going to get a lot of no's.
Yes.
I got a lot of no's. You just get used to hearing no. Yeah. Okay, so you're on track. How much money do you think you'll make this year?
I'm on track to around $500,000 to $600,000.
As a 22-year-old kid, do you have a college degree?
No.
Do you have a real estate license?
No.
Do you have a driver's license?
I do have a driver's license.
Do you own a Jeep?
I don't own a Jeep.
Who's got the keys to the Jeep?
I don't know.
You're supposed to say vroom. Okay, so Kevin, you're primarily focusing on that. Are there any other ways that you're making money right now?
Yes. So I, with the money that I make, I just lend it out to people that needs help on earnest money. So it's called the Gator Method that you teach as well. And what people reach out to me saying, hey, I have this deal under contract. I have my money locked up in this deal on other deals, and I need temporary funding for my $5,000 earnest money. Do you mind helping me fund it, and I'll get a big chunk of money in return?
So they need $5,000 to start a transaction. Yes. They're out of capital because they have their capital elsewhere on maybe 10 other transactions.
Right.
They reach out to you, and they say, will you do a Gator deal with me where you bring $5,000 as earnest money deposit so I can start this transaction?
Right.
And when they close the transaction, you get your $5,000 back plus what?
Around a couple $1,000, $1,000, $2,000.
So like in 10 days, you're making a return of like 50%.
Right. Yeah.
That's crazy.
And it's a money that's just sitting on my account, so it's like might as well just put it to work.
It's just compounding now at this point.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So, how did you meet Jake? Why did you guys drive across the country? How do you guys know each other?
Well, we were in Raleigh, and he offered, because I was gonna drive the whole from North Carolina to Phoenix, and he said, well, if you need help with driving, I'll be happy to help you drive. So I drove the first hour, and then rest.
Amazing. Okay, so Jake Villaret, you're out of Raleigh, North Carolina. Make sure you guys follow both these guys on Instagram, DM them, send them opportunities. If you guys need help with earnest money, both these guys can help you with the Gator Method. If you guys have no equity deals, send them to these boys, and they can help you out. But Jake, you're in Raleigh, Durham area. Unbelievable part of the country.
So nice.
Nicest people on the planet.
Right.
Legitimately, I've never met nicer people than people in North Carolina.
Absolutely.
It's the best. I don't think you realize it until you leave North Carolina. You're like, wow, why are people so rude? We're like, no, that's normal. You guys are the weird ones. Okay?
Sure. I'm from New York originally, so I'm used to the rudeness.
Okay, got it. So what are you doing in your business? What's your primary source of income?
It's been growing. I'm doing more and more things, but the main business model that I have is loan sponsorship. And so I started off doing it myself back in January, and it's filling a big need in the market, right? There's a lot of investors who need my services, so it grew very rapidly. And so I built a 6-person team called the Creative Credit Partners, and we've been getting into bigger things. We're at the point now where we're sponsoring, 60-unit hotels and ground up construction on
For
multifamily.
people that don't know what a loan sponsorship is, right? This is another Gator Method strategy. It's Gator 4.0, and we haven't talked about it on YouTube or anything like that. This is probably one of the first times it'll go out on YouTube. What the hell is Gator 4.0? What is a loan sponsorship, and why do people need them, and how do you make money?
Sure. Loan sponsorship is, there's a lot of investors, they have great deals, but they lack the ability to get funding. Like they don't have good credit or credentials or liquidity or whatever it may be. And so what I do is I partner with them and use my credit and my credentials and my experience and cash and things like that to obtain the loan and become a 50% equity partner on the deal. And they operate it. And
So you're telling me somebody goes out and finds a deal. They go to a lender, let's say like myinvestorloan.com. And the myinvestorloan says, man, your experience is lacking. You don't have credentials, meaning you don't have a pedigree of 50 deals that you've done. You don't have a bunch of capital that's been seasoned in the bank. The answer is no, we're not going to give you a loan on this deal. And then that person goes, dang it, I spent all this time, I read books, I went to mentorships, I went to seminars, I learned how to find deals, and now I found a deal and I hear another no. I got 1,000 no's to hear a yes. I now have a property under contract, and then I go to a lender to get funding for that contract, and I hear another no.
right.
So the way that they overcome that no is by going to Jake Villaret and saying, will you do a loan sponsorship for me?
Right.
And you're helping them get this put together. And for that, these crazy lunatics are giving you 50%?
That's right. 50% is better than 100% of nothing, right?
Damn.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right.
By the way, guys, we have a live studio audience. Let's give it up for the live studio audience. Come on. We got one of my heroes, my attorney's here, so we're not getting into the nitty-gritty like we normally would because she's here taking notes on all the things that I'm doing incorrect. I'll probably get an email after this that you should have said this. Am I doing a good job?
Which you're gonna get billed for, by the way.
Oh, bill me, please. Every time I hang out with Bethany, I get an invoice. Okay, so you guys are both making money in this space. How can somebody get started in this? Here's a better question. How can somebody leverage you? Let's say they're brand new to the channel, right? We get about 4 million views a month on this channel. How can somebody watch one of those 4 million eyeballs that are watching leverage you guys to get some help? Kevin, let's go to you first.
For me, I am in the process of building out a team, a little bit bigger of a team. So if people have more sales experience, I guess that's kind of how people can, start leveraging my team, my credibility.
Okay, so if somebody has they're like, I have a lot of confidence.
Yeah.
I want to get on the phone, but I need some guidance. I need you to tell me who to call.
Yeah.
I need you to tell me how to follow up. I need you to tell me what to say. I'm willing to pick up the phone and do the things, but I don't know what those things are. And so they come on your team and you give them that guidance. And for that, they get paid what? A commission, a finder's fee? What do they get
Yeah,
paid?
they'll get a percentage of the deal.
A percentage of the deal.
Yeah.
They don't have to know anything other than just have, I guess, tenacity.
Yeah. Even like the guy that I work with, Josh, he had no experience until 4 months ago.
Josh has a great story. He is, just for everybody watching, you guys will see Josh pop up more and more. If you follow Kevin, I want to just tell you how proud of you I am. 2.5 years ago when I first met you, you were still living at your parents' house. The biggest problem you had at the time was the quality of your relationships. You would come into Zooms with me and you'd say, Pace, I don't know what I'm doing. My friends are all going to college. I'm unsure of my future. I was like, get rid of all those friends. Let's make new friends. And now, how many friends would you say you have that are all quality friends? Like legit, throw out a number.
400, 500.
400 or 500 friends that are all doing real estate. You're doing deals with a lot of them. You're raising capital from some of them, et cetera. And you guys are doing money-making activities.
Right, all the time.
So you have different problems today than you did 2 years ago.
Yes, 100%.
You just bought your first primary residence.
Yeah.
How big is the house?
2,400 square feet.
2,400 square foot house, fully furnished Airbnb. You bought it subject to, so you took over somebody else's payments.
Yeah.
You're keeping all the furniture.
I'm keeping all the furniture.
That's amazing. And what is your payment going to be?
It's a 3% at $3,100 a month.
3%, $3,100 a month. I think somebody making $600,000 this year could probably afford that.
A little bit, yeah.
Are you going to be bringing in some roommates into this situation to kind of house hack a little?
No, my intention with the house is because it has 4 bedrooms and I'll be living in one of them. A lot of people flying for the mastermind events. I want to house everybody for free, so I get to pick their brains, what they're doing in their business, and I'll make money that way.
Look at you, dude. So super smart. Really proud of you for buying your first house. But going back to Josh, Josh ran into our world by meeting my wife through a Starbucks drive-thru. Josh works there. My wife orders the same thing every single day. He sees she drives a different car 2-3 days a week, and he's like, "What do you do?" She says, "Well, me and my husband do blah blah blah." He says, "Who's your husband?" Looks us up. "Oh my gosh, how do I get started?" My wife says, "Go get your real estate license. You can join my team." And he very quickly realized he didn't want to be a real estate agent. So my wife says, "Well, if you don't want to be an agent, go learn from my husband." And I go, "Don't learn from me. Go learn with Kevin." And so I pushed a 19-year-old kid over to your team, and he made $12,000 last year. How much money do you think Kevin or Josh will make this year?
He'll probably make 200,000.
You imagine what would a 19-year-old kid goes from $12,000 a year to $200,000 a year?
It's 10x.
Bro, what are you doing with that money? You feel like a billionaire at 19 years old, living at your parents' house. Up until last week, Josh just bought his first primary residence. How did he buy it?
He bought it with Subto, just taking over payments.
So this works.
It works.
It's not a scam.
Yeah, I mean, Josh and I, we both went under our primary at the same day. He just closed a little earlier. But yeah.
Wow. Okay, so that's how people can leverage you, is do the same thing that Josh did. I want to join your team, Kevin. I want to learn what you're doing. I want to come work with you, etc. But what are the types of people you don't want to come join your team?
People that...
And talk to the camera and tell that person, if you need me to X, Y, and Z, don't join my team.
If you need me to motivate you, or if you need me to answer questions more than once, then I think I don't have the patience for it. So just I tell you once, and then you're done, and you just go out and do it, and then you just come back with the deal.
I love it.
Yeah.
Who has the keys to the Jeep?
Room.
Yes, we got it. Oh. Okay, so Jake, how can somebody leverage you? And follow-up question, do they have to be in Raleigh, Durham area in order to leverage you?
Yeah, there's a lot of things that I could do. Obviously, the loan sponsorship is one. The earnest money and double closings. I buy creative deals. I get on the phone with sellers, with other students and non-students, and help them close their deals. They could be anywhere in the country. I don't discriminate. Right? So I own properties in probably 7 different states at this point. And by the end of next month, I've lost track at this point. It's just been amazing. But it's because the team I have behind me. If you go to creativecreditpartner.com, you could look and see who's on my team, and they really keep this whole thing running. It's been we left on Wednesday morning, and they just send me things, I sign them, and...
You've been gone for 5 days.
5 days.
On the road.
Right.
First off, shout out to your amazing wife.
My wife is incredible. On Wednesday morning when we formulated this plan to drive across the country, I was like, oh God, I need to get on the phone with my wife and, run it by her first. And I called her and I said, hey, Pace wants me to drive the Escalade back to
You blamed it on me, dude?
I did.
What the freak?
You volunteered.
I did. I had to put it on you a little bit because I knew that.
Smart.
Yeah. And
Sales,
so,
bro. Sales. Hey, what's your wife's name?
Jackie.
Jackie, you got sold. Just
So I called her up. I said, hey, Pace wants me to drive the Escalade back across the country with Kevin. And she was like, that's amazing. You have to do it. And I was like, that's everything, right?
That's a great wife, dude.
That's everything.
Great
She's
partner.
home with both kids, taking care of them, getting my son to school, home from school. My daughter's almost 11 months old. And so, she's incredible.
Love it. Okay, so you get a chance to go across the country, hang out with Kevin. You guys are doing deals in the Escalade because it's got Wi-Fi and all that kind of stuff. How has this trip been helpful for you from maybe a branding perspective, maybe a perception perspective, maybe a networking perspective? What are some things that you're so grateful that your team was allowed you to scale out of being in the office space, go spend 5 days on the road? What do you feel like you're going to take back to the team for being gone for 5 days?
I think that I've met so many incredible people, and I've been able to, put our name and our brand out there, and I feel like we're not even going to have to work for the deals anymore, right? We're just going to be able to pick and choose and be a little more selective and partner with the people that we want to partner with. And they've handled everything. I've just had to e-sign a few things. We get to closing sometimes. I don't remember who we're partnered with. We stopped in Amarillo so I could close on 2 properties while we were there. I couldn't remember the notary said, "What county are these properties in?" I said, "What state are they in?" I couldn't remember which deals they were.
Which tells you, going back to what you said earlier, you have a great team that's handling those things. This happens to me all the time. You've been in my home where a notary comes by. I'm like, what am I signing?
Yeah.
I have no idea what I'm signing. They need my right hand. That's the only thing my team needs me for at this point is my right hand. And I called Molly and I go, Molly, can you please just get a power of attorney or something so I don't have to sign this stuff? And I think that's my next step. Or a rubber stamp. Can I do that, Bethany? Bethany's like, I don't know. Depends on your state. You know, yeah, okay, this is great. These are the two things you're always going to hear from an attorney. Number one, that depends. And number two, we'll talk about it. We'll figure it out. And that's the great thing about you. You always figure everything out.
Number 3, I'll send you an invoice.
There you go. You know what? My favorite invoice to pay every single month is my attorneys. Because that means I'm paying to learn something very specific. Whereas, like, I've been part of bad mentorships where you essentially just get a bunch of YouTube content and you paid money and you're like, wow, that's what I got. But when you spend money with an attorney, you know you're actively doing an actual deal and you're learning something tangible on something real. And so I look at that and I'm like, wow, that's education well spent.
For sure.
Right? Get more attorneys. That's my advice.
Yeah.
Who's your attorney?
Well, I just paid an attorney named Brian Locker.
Brian Locker.
What did I? It was a list pendants.
Yeah, so this happens. This is a great piece of advice for the audience, by the way. You should have attorneys that are your friends, right? I feel like an escrow officer, a loan officer, let's say title rep, marketing rep, attorney, lawyer, securities attorney, all these things are really daunting and scary words and phrases. And so what happens is you withhold any sort of connection with them. You're like, I don't want to, they're going to charge me, they're going to bill me, or I don't want to be in that world because we're taught that you should be afraid of attorneys. Right? And then you get older, like, wait, dude, I need an attorney right now.
Yeah.
So what I did just recently is you get into a deal, you sign a house with a seller, seller decides, oh, I'm going to leverage Kevin's offer to go get a better offer with another investor.
Yes.
This happens. Welcome to real estate, right? So you call me, you go, what do I do? I go, get a Liz Pendens on the property.
Right.
And you're like, what's a Liz Pendens? I'm like, it's a pending lawsuit. It means you're pending legal action on the property.
Yeah.
And you're like, well, who do I do that? I go, call Sean St. Clair. He'll have Brian Locker do it.
Yeah.
And so we've got that rolling so you can protect yourself.
Yeah, and it was my first time. It was my third time paying an attorney, and it made me feel like an adult.
Oh! You know what? You should wear a shirt that says, I'm an adult.
No, but it was cool. It was a cool experience. Like I didn't need to do it. Like I had a memorandum on the house, which is like notice of interest. So the sale still can't go through, but Brian, but I still went through the motion just to go through it.
Go through the motions.
Yeah.
It's just like dating a girl.
Right.
Kevin. All right, Jake, you had a lot of fun with Kevin. What was your big takeaway from this last 5 days? Kevin, I'm teeing you up. This is the last question I'm going to ask you after I ask Jake, is what was your biggest takeaway for the last 5 days? You guys spending time together, you networking with all these people. Was there anything you're going to take home specific? Not just a relationship. What is the actionable item? What is the thing that you're going to take back home this coming week back to your team?
About Kevin specifically? Or
Just
in
this
general?
whole week. Spending time with Kevin is just the thread that you guys followed.
I've learned a lot from Kevin, seeing the way he operates. Some of the conversations he had on the drive on the way here, I was like, man, I really need to do this more like Kevin. He got firm with a few people on the phone. And I was like, whoa, didn't know Kevin had that in him, right? Because Kevin's like the lovable, funny guy. But he puts his foot down when he needs to, and that's something I definitely need to work on. I'm getting better at it, but I could be a little bit of
A North Carolinian.
yeah,
Very nice.
a little bit too much of a pushover at times. So I have to start separating friendship from business, and have to do business when it's business and be friends when it's not business. And
I love that. It's a great takeaway. Here's one thing I'll just expand on that is that it's different when you're standing next to somebody doing the business. Right? People are watching YouTube, guys. You're watching YouTube channel right now. You're watching this on Instagram, whatever it is. That's like not even 1% of 1% of what you should be doing. Most of all of our learning is done in proximity of other people that are actively doing the business. Right? It's like, Bethany, I hope we can hear you. I think we can because we had the boom mics. But when you became an attorney, did you just go to law school and then you were like, voila, knew everything?
No. You learn how to take the bar exam in law school. You don't learn how to be a lawyer.
So she sent, guys, we got an amazing attorney in here, Bethany LaFlamme. We'll put her description down below. She's my securities attorney. She's amazing. She's saying, no, it's the same thing in real estate. You learn what the framework is, but then you actually learn how to do the business on the job.
Right.
And you learn a lot of the business by watching other people do the business. And that's really where you get all the traction, is being proximity of other people that are doing the business.
Absolutely.
We're just a bunch of freaking monkeys. Monkey see, monkey do. Like, if I can't see you do it, I'm not going to be able to learn how to do it.
Yeah.
Kevin, what about you? What was your big takeaway the last 5 days?
I think because I was away from, actively on the computer, I was working majority of the time, but because I wasn't physically, in Arizona and I wasn't meeting people in person, like it really, I really saw the holes in my business where, okay, like my transaction coordination, like it's going perfectly fine without me being involved. On my team, there's a couple of holes that I need to go home and fix, but like those holes I would have never seen if I was actively in my business with them in Arizona. So that's kind of, it's like the bus test, or when you get hit by a bus and you're no longer in the business.
Can I tell you a story about the bus thing?
Yeah.
So I'm in an appointment. This is probably 7 years ago. I'm talking to a seller, and she says, well, what happens if you stop making my payments on the Subto loan?
Right.
And I go, well, let's just imagine I get hit by a bus.
Right.
And then all of a sudden her body language tells me, oh, I said something horrible. Her son was killed by a bus. So I never brought that up ever again. So you know what came from that? Is the phrase you guys have heard me say 1,000 times to sellers, like you guys hear my seller calls, and I go, let's pretend I was blank by...
Abducted by aliens.
There you go. So I always tell people abducted by aliens, because nobody's been abducted by an alien. I'm super safe. I'm not going to put my foot in my mouth. So you're saying the abducted by an alien test means you're gone.
Yeah.
And your business is still going to run with you or without you? What's the area that you feel like was just horrible because you weren't there?
I don't know. I think it was running a little bit rough, but it was still going.
Okay. We were at Olive Garden as a congratulations to you and I doing another deal probably about a month ago.
Yeah.
And you said, I'm really only working 3 hours a day. And I was like, you know what you should be doing is traveling more. You should be traveling way more. So it was my ruse to convince you to go to North Carolina with me, thinking that you were going to fly back home.
Oh, yeah.
And I was like, no, this kid's going on the road for 5 days. You haven't been home in a week.
No.
And did you contract any houses this last week?
Yeah. 2.
You got 2 houses, which you'll make probably 20 grand while you've been gone.
Yeah, and then I did 3 lending. So.
And 3 Gator loans.
Yeah.
Amazing. Jake, what about you? Did you get some houses under contract?
Yeah, we signed those 2 contracts in Amarillo. We walked through that OKC Subto that I just bought with the meetup people in Oklahoma City. And right after this, I'm going to wire 2,500 EMD for someone who called me on the road trip. So
Amazing. Super proud of you boys. Kevin Choe 12.
Yes.
Jake Villaret. Is there a dot in between?
nope. Jake Villaret, REI.
Jake Villaret REI on Instagram. Guys, super proud of these boys. Please go follow them. If you guys need a place to plug in and work for, go call these boys. If you guys need maybe some EMD, call these boys. If you guys have a lead that has no equity, or maybe the seller wants too much money, these guys can get on the phone and help you negotiate either one of those and help you get a deal done. And we'll see you the next time I do a deal with Kevin Choe on a YouTube channel on A Real Deal.
Pace, real quick. I want you to tell my wife that we need to move to Arizona.
Stay in North Carolina. It's amazing. North Carolina is unbelievable. I'm thinking about moving to North Carolina, just straight up. You should just be the Pace Morby of North Carolina.
I'll gladly.
That's what you
be
should
the
do.
Pace. All right.
Tell him to be the Pace Morby of North Carolina.
There
Do
we
all
go.
the meetups, let everybody know who you are, be super loud, make all the friends, and make everybody want to move to North Carolina. Because when I go to North Carolina, I'm like, why do I not live here? It's amazing. Let's see if we can accomplish something real fast. All 3 of us at the same time, the answer at the same time to this question. Who's got the keys to the Jeep?
Vroom! I said it twice.
Boom. There you go. Good job.